Hi, Miss Orteza here. Today I'm discussing with you real number line. This is a real number line. At the right of 0, we see the positive numbers. And at the left of 0, we see the negative numbers. These numbers between the integer 0 and 1, 1 and 2, 2 and 3, and so on, are composed of decimals and fractions. The real number line extends to the right infinitely without bound, the same way with the direction to the left. It goes on and on without bound. This middle part of the real number line is 0, which is called the origin. So let us discuss today the different parts of the real number line. We have the origin, the location, and the coordinate. So this is what we call the origin. This is the point that is labeled 0, as shown on the illustration right now. And the point on the number line that corresponds to a real number line, to a real number, is the location of the number. So this is the location of -2. And now, what we call coordinate is the number that corresponds to a point. So here, the coordinate of the given point is 3. Let us approximate the location of points. So the same way with fractions, that is equal to a decimal that is non-terminating and repeating decimal, it can be approximated as 0.67. So we may estimate positions of these points in the real number line. Like in the case of square root of 2, it is approximately 1.4. So we can also approximate where it is along the real number line. But first, let's look into -4/3, and that is equal to -1 and 1/3. Notice that this is between -1 and -2. It's closer to -1. So we make the point closer to -1. Now, with the square root of 2 that has been approximated as 1.4 is closer to 1 than to 2. Now, how about 2.7? 2.7 is equal to a fraction that is 2 and 7/10. So it's closer to 3 than to 2. Now, how do we identify an exact location of these points? So in the case of number 1, since -4/3 has a denominator of 3, we may divide the distance that is ranging from -1 to -2 into 3 parts, as shown here. So this is the first part, and then the second part, and then the third part. And then we label the tick marks this way. The first one, right after -1, is -1 and 1/3, because it has a third of the whole distance between -1 to -2. And then the next tick mark is labeled as -1 and 2/3 because it is covering 2 parts out of 3. And then the next can be labeled as -1 and 3/3, which is definitely equal to -2. So we place the point at -1 and 1/3 that corresponds to this coordinate. Now for square root of 2, again, this is approximately 1.4. And so we may divide the distance that starts from 1 to 2 into how many parts? This time we can divide the distance into 5 parts, since 1.4 can be written as 1 and 4/10 in fraction and can be simplified further as 1 and 2/5. So notice that here there are 5 parts in all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the first tick mark that comes right after 1 is 1 and 1/5. The next one is 1 and 2/5. The next is 1 and 3/5. And then the next is 1 and 4/5. And so this tick mark here is 1 and 5/5, which is equivalent to 2. And so we place the point that refers to this given coordinate, which is 1 and 2/5. So approximately square root of 2 is located at this point. So in this case, 2.7 is equal to 2 and 7/10. So therefore, the distance between 2 and 3 can be divided into 10 parts because of the denominator 10. And so we label each part according to this. 2 and 1/10, that's the first tick mark after 2. Then 2 and 2/10, 2 and 3/10, 2 and 4/10, 2 and 5/10, which is equal to its simplest form, 2.5. And we see here that 2.5 is positioned right in the middle of 2 and 3. And then this one is 2 and 6/10. Then the next is 2 and 7/10, which is the point we are supposed to locate. So there you see this point corresponding to this coordinate, 2 and 7/10. And then the next is 2 and 8/10, 2 and 9/10, and then we have 2 and 10/10, which is equal to 3. Thank you and have a nice day.